Well, disappointing was probably the way I would sum up last season. I really thought that we'd have a better year than we did. So the way the season ended was kind of typical of the way the year went overall. We thought we would have a chance at maybe 20 wins because of the personnel that we had, even though we're still a fairly young team overall, but things didn't quite go as well as we thought. So we focused on three things in the spring. One was our man-to-man defense. We wanted to become a better defensive team. Two, we wanted to be more efficient in the half-court offense. We had put in more of a motion offense halfway through the season, started to get better results with that. And finally, we wanted to play a little bit faster. We wanted to play more of a transition game. So that was the emphasis in the spring. That carried over into the workouts when they were here this summer and really kind of took off here in the preseason in the fall. This is probably the hardest working group that I think I've ever coached. And I've been doing this for 26 years at the collegiate level, and I've had some really good teams. I've been fortunate to coach some good teams, but probably from top to bottom, I don't think I've had a group that's been in the gym and worked harder than this group. The energy and effort has always been there. It's the one constant. I've never complained, never walked out of a practice or a workout and complained about the effort or the energy level. They're in the gym nonstop, and I think it starts with your leaders at the top. Players like Haley Horseman and Lindsey Engelberg, and then some of those juniors, Alyssa Ellerbrock, Anna Hintz, Jenna Stegmeyer. Those kids are in the gym nonstop. Well, not a lot of new faces this year. In years past, we've had a lot of young kids, especially that junior group. Now I've got 9 juniors, so when all those kids were younger. We've got one freshman this year, Madison Stolley from Lima Central Catholic, and Maddie's really done a fantastic job, and I think has picked things up a little bit quicker than I had anticipated. She's definitely going to be somebody that's going to be in the mix and probably leapfrog some of those kids that are already on the roster. A, just because of her overall skill set, B, her work ethic and how competitive she is. Ruth is our transfer from St. Joseph's College. It's taken a little bit longer maybe for her to kind of get acclimated. Part of the problem was that she was interning this summer back home, and so she wasn't here with the rest of the group. So when she got here in the fall, she's already behind those kids that have been here for an 8-week period. But she was a player that definitely stood out at St. Joe's, three-point shooter. Losing Carly Boner to graduation, it's nice to be able to have somebody step in that has some experience, and we're expecting big things from her and from Madison. I don't think we've had the depth of three-point shooters we've had in the past. Last year it was primarily Bones and Lindsey Engelberg. Lindsey's one of the best that I've ever seen and ever coached. She's got a super quick release. A couple years ago she led the GLIAC in three-point percentage. So with her and Lauren as the primaries, but we need other players to kind of step in and help out as well. Anna Hintz is a really good three-point shooter. Haley Horseman needs to take on some more responsibility from the three, but that's definitely something that we want to utilize as part of our offense. Well, I think it's anytime you get an opportunity to play a Division I opponent, I think that's something that's kind of special. Going down to play UC on a Thursday night and then turn around and going and playing Dayton on that Saturday, it's just a great experience and a great opportunity for our kids. You get to test yourself against some premier opponents. Both of those programs, they're different in the style of play, the leagues that they're in, but it's going to be kind of an eye-opener, I think, for us, but it's also maybe a litmus test to kind of see where we're at and how we stack up against some of those athletes. We come home, we play Alma, don't know a lot about them, haven't really focused on them very much, and then open up at Lake Erie in the crossover with Wayne State and Tiffin, two teams that we're very, very familiar with, and hopefully those 3 exhibition games really kind of set the tone for what we can expect moving forward once we get up there and we play Wayne and Tiffin. We've played some of those teams in the past. A couple years ago we played Trevecca and we played Kentucky Wesleyan down in a crossover challenge. A team like Cedarville has a history in that conference of doing very, very well. Ursuline has kind of taken over, I think, from a tournament standpoint the last couple of years and has played well. Malone had a good run last year in the conference tournament. And I think adding the teams from the South Division of the GLIAC just makes that conference a much stronger conference. I know Commissioner Dager is really working hard to continue to improve that conference, and I think in a couple years you're going to see that as being one of the premier Division II conferences in the country. I like our chances. I think the great thing about the new conference, it's almost like a fresh start for us, and that's kind of the approach that we've used in the spring and in the preseason is we have 4 seniors and 9 juniors. It's the most experienced team that we've had since I've been here. So it's nice to have some experience heading into a new conference. So we have an opportunity to kind of make a statement this year, I think, if we live up to our expectations and our capabilities, and it could be a special year for us. Well, we've fallen short the last few years. We've been close to getting into the conference tournament. We haven't done that, and I think that's probably the biggest goal for us. is to get into the conference tournament, and then from that point, anything can happen. We've talked a lot about this team compared to the 2012-13 team with Caleb Brown and Ty Dotson and those guys. You know, that team won 24 games that year. I think that we were 19-3, I think, in the GLIAC, and it was the first time we had advanced to the conference championship game and also go to the NCAA tournament. I feel, player for player, that this team is better than that team. I think it's deeper. I think it's more versatile. I think we're more athletic. That being said, that team had some things that this team doesn't quite have yet. One of it was a swagger. I thought they played with a lot of confidence, and I thought they played with an attitude. This team doesn't quite have that yet, but we're working on that. So developing a little bit more of a swagger and an attitude and learning to compete, what it takes to compete every single day, then I think, again, if we can get them to that level, it's going to be a special year.